Nestled between Hastings and St Leonards-on-Sea is Hasleyan Hall, home to my old theatre group, the Hasleyans. Let's take a look through their stage door.
Hasleyans were formed in 1925 and in 1926 performed their first production of Veronique, which was very happily received. And they have had just one phenomenal show after another, and it's just gone better and better and better. And I was just reading not too long ago about a production from the 1930s, and in it they weren't as careful with their sets and their props and everything, and an actor was stabbed live on stage, and they cut his artery, and the newspaper said actor stabbed on stage, and I just read that, it's like, wow. When you consider how careful we are and how cognizant we are of health and safety, an actor was stabbed live on stage in 1930. I mean, even during the war years, they tried to stay open as long as they could. They did go black for a little bit during the war years, but right after, they were right back at it.
The Hasleyans do 2 musicals each year, and that is the sole effort of Hasleyans, because of course it does take somewhere in the region of 6 months to do any particular musical.
We do a wide variety of shows. At the moment we are rehearsing on Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Each rehearsal is sort of 2.5 hours long. We start with the children early, and then obviously we have the seniors, the grown-ups, and it's really going really well actually at the moment.
The productions are decided by the Hasleyan Management Committee and then offered out to any particular director that they think would be suitable to do that type of musical. I, as the director, am actually not on the casting committee. I sit in on, obviously, the auditions and can advise and make comments, but it's finally up to the 3 people who are elected by the members of the Hasleyan Society.
And once cast and directed, the Hasleyan productions are finally staged here, at the town's premier receiving house, the White Rock Theatre.
Being Hastings, it's got a certain number of seats. That number is, of course, 1066.
When we perform at an external venue, we try, as far as we are able, to provide backstage staff, because the more staff that you use from the White Rock where they perform, then you've got to pay those members of staff.
How many tickets do we have to sell to get a profit? Well, of course, it depends on the show. Some shows are much, much more expensive than others. For example, we did Beauty and the Beast around about a year ago, and that cost such a lot that we lost money, even though it was such a fantastic show, and that was actually the highest audience that we'd had for the last 10 years.
Since their very first production of Veronique, staged to help local aid charities, the group have worked tirelessly to raise funds for the local community.
One of the things that I, as a member of the Hasleyans, am very proud of and very great to be part of is the amount of charity work they do. And what they have done in the past and what they continue to do is how much money they donate to charities. And even though right now the Hasleyans, because of all local amateur dramatics, are suffering under government cuts and unfortunately not as many people partaking of live theatre, we're still struggling to make sure we still give something back to the community.
And though the group continue to try to do just that, right now they could really do with the local community giving back to them.
The group is in its 80s. It should keep going. And unfortunately right now we are struggling. So we who were so big when television didn't exist are now competing with television, video games, and all the other distractions of the 21st century. Theatre all over is suffering, and amateur drams are suffering even more than the others. So we're hoping that people will find their way back to the theatre.
And that's a hope that Hasleyan members new and old have been trying to achieve over recent years. During my time as a freelance journalist in Hastings, I interviewed a number of members in a bid to raise the profile of the group and help get bums on seats.
Shows cost around about £20,000 to put on. Most shows recently, in the last probably 7 or 8 shows, have made a loss. Even the really popular ones, the ones where you think bums on seats is guaranteed. Yes, they did produce bums on seats, but they haven't made a profit.
We were playing to thousands for each show. On the last performance, it was quite often a sellout. Times have changed tremendously over the years. It is a problem to get bums on seats.
The Hasleyans is an amazing society. They're a very family-orientated group. We have the young ones in the hall right through to grandparents still performing and taking part in the whole of the show. There's the rehearsals which are most enjoyable and which teach and stretch people. They find skills they didn't know they had.
Even though recent years have been tough for the Hasleyans, the same passion to keep the group on stage is as strong as ever. Kate tells us about their current campaign.
Currently, right now, we are starting a campaign of Save the Hasleyans. Not too long ago, a group of us walked down the seafront dressed in our nighty-night clothing.
That was to advertise the full Monty. We would have done it naked, but they just wouldn't let us. We also have a quiz night coming up. We have done bagpacking.
We're trying dances, we're trying perhaps dinner theatre. We're looking at all kinds of options to create an interest again in live theatre, especially regional live theatre.
So, what is the reality facing the group?
The reality is, tragically, that the Hasleyans is facing its toughest time ever, even worse than during the war. During the war, there was still the feeling of, let's pull together, let's do it. Now, unfortunately, with so many other so many other distractions, we do risk the chance of losing the Hasleyans. Something that has been, 86, 87 years old, is at risk of dying and fading away and never being heard from again. We can't let that happen. We have got to do something to stop it. And this is why we're hoping with an appeal to let people know that we're here, but we're struggling. And we want to keep putting back to the community. This isn't a closed group. Anybody can join if you're interested in amateur dramatics. We want to let everyone know that they can join, they can come and be part of an amazing historical group.
Hasleyan Hall is almost as old as the group itself and will hopefully play its part too in saving them.
The building we're in at the moment is the Hasleyans Hall. It's our rehearsal venue. We actually own it. It is a place that we hire out to other groups.
We're making it available for public events. We have a kitchen, we have facilities here. So if you're interested in getting involved, you can do something here. This is where we hold our quizzes, this is where we hold our barbecues, this is where we hold our dances.
We actually had the panto, the big Hastings panto rehearsing in here a couple of Christmases ago because it's actually exactly the same size as the stage that we perform in at the White Rock Theatre.
This is where we hope to hold maybe a dinner theatre, and we hope that when we let people know that it's available, they come and they enjoy it as well. It's as old a building as the Hasleyans themselves are. And like the Hasleyans, it needs help. We have our costume, which is a separate building, our costume building, needs a new roof. We're trying to raise money for that. We're doing it again any way we can. And if anyone has some ideas, we welcome them to try and raise some money to A, fix the roof, and B, keep us going as a group, as an amateur dramatics group.
And what can local people do to help save the Hasleyans?
In the first place, patronise the theatre. When we put on a show, come and see it. We advertise it, we do anything we can to promote it. We invite people to please do come to the theatre and show it. Or if they want to get more involved, we do welcome, and I hate to pitch for money, but we do welcome donations. Right now we're struggling to pull everything together for the Sound of Music. Whenever the Hasleyans do a production, they do a production. They go full out with the best costumes. We get the best directors, the best musicians. Everything has to be top drawer, because if people are going to be paying money to see it, they want to see something. We want to give them that. But all of these things in the modern world take money. And unfortunately, we aren't doing as well as we used to do. So we're hoping to have a drive to get people involved. And if they want to donate, that would be fantastic. Get involved any way you can.
So, what does being involved with the Hasleyans mean to its members?
What the Hasleyans mean to me and why they're part of my life is because they're a creative outlet. And I think everybody has a yearning to be a little bit creative.
I have been at the Hasleyans for the past 4 years. I moved down to Hastings around about 4 years ago. Before that, I was doing amateur theatre, well, since I was a kid actually. Started off with the West Kent Youth Theatre in Tunbridge Wells and have been going on since then.
For myself, I've been a member for about a year and a half. I come from New York. Although I'm Canadian, I was born in Canada. I was raised in New York, so I'm a New York City girl, but I love it here. I love the seafront, and to find this group and to be part of this group is just amazing, and it really is a phenomenal group.
I have been a member of Haslians for quite a long time now, and I suppose, like most other groups, it's the camaraderie as much as anything that is appealing.
Everyone pulls together. I mean, it reminds me of the old Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney movies, where, you know, we've got a barn, let's put on a show.
And having been a Haslian myself involved in several productions over the years, I love to pop back to Hastings to check out their latest showstopper. Good luck with The Sound of Music, guys. I know it will be a huge success.